to LMR Live on location. We may not have ventured far, we're just across campus, but we are not in our normal facility. We are coming to you today live from the Turner Center, the dance studio at the University of Mississippi, and we are so glad that you're tuning in and joining us on our music research revolution is what I normally say, but I got to revise that today. I think it needs to be the performing arts research revolution. Here we go. So we are bringing you edutainment, entertainment and education lumped together. Today we are going to be focusing on dance. We are going to be focusing on the group Malpaso, Cuban dance company. So excited to have them here on campus. So we want to hear from you. Many of you have already sent in questions, tweeted us, Facebook. We're going to be paying attention. Some of you even texted me. Thank you for that. But we want to hear from you. We want your questions. So chat in the YouTube feature, text, whatever. Just we want to hear from you. So, very important person here at the university made this possible. And her name is Jennifer Mizenko. And I feel very honored that I get to be her colleague at this institution. But who is Jennifer Mizenko? Jennifer is a professor of movement for the actor in dance. She has run the theater's department's dance program since 1989 and the movement program since 1996. She directs the university dance company called Mississippi, the Dance Company, which you should check out. She has degrees. I find this very interesting. She has a degree in psychology and dance. I want to talk about that in a minute here, too. She is a teacher of the Alexander technique. She does Laban movement analysis. Jennifer has taught master classes in Italy, England, and throughout the United States. Couple high points of Jennifer, things that I consider high points, are that in 2004, she was the project director for the Racial Reconciliation Choreography Project. And this was won a very big award and was selected to be performed at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. She has also very recently released a book. She is co-author for the book, The Laban Workshop for Actors. She is a busy lady who does not rest on her laurels, and she makes things happen, and I love that. So help me welcome Jennifer Mizenko. Hey.
Wow, you make me sound really great.
Well, you're fantastic. I mean, how could I not? So, you know, I want to find out first, what initially brought, and I've never asked you this question, what initially brought you to Oxford? I mean, talk about the very beginning when this town got to be blessed by your presence.
Wow, that's back another lifetime. I was living and working in Columbus, Ohio. And
we have Ohio following, so hello
Yay.
To our Ohio
hello,
folks.
Columbus Buckeyes.
Yes.
And I was working in the Columbus area, teaching dance, dancing with the dance company, doing all these things that you do to scratch by and make a living. And I had heard that the university was in need of a temporary replacement modern person. And they actually called me up because through the grapevine around around the performing arts. And I was literally interviewed and moved in a week. Wow. I arrived here like the day before classes started. When I was packing my house to come, I was like, people would come over to say goodbye. I was like, would you like a pan? Take a pan. Would you like a chair? Take a chair.
Let me downsize.
I was just trying to, and I really only intended to come for that year. Mm-hmm. And that's 20.
That's so many people's stories, because that's my husband and my story of coming here. It was supposed to be one semester, and that was a long time ago. Yeah. So this is a big, broad, open-ended question, but how much has Oxford, or even more specifically the university, changed since that arrival? And I have to say, this is a loaded question, because I think lots of great change, I like change, and I think lots of change has occurred. Not all change is needed, but you're a big component of the great change in this town.
Yes, thank you.
You are,
okay,
you are.
Yes.
So how has it changed?
It has changed a lot. I mean, it's changed architecturally. Well, some things I'll tell you that didn't exist that I'm not responsible for. We didn't have Southside Gallery. We didn't have Proud Larry's. We didn't have City Grocery. All those places that everybody comes to Oxford for, none of those things were here. I went to Memphis a lot the first couple of years. And, well, there's been a lot of change on campus with racial reconciliation. I mean, that's one of the things that I've really involved myself in on this campus through the arts. And, we are seen globally as still behind, but where we've come from 1989 to now, is extraordinary.
Absolutely.
And the university is still working in that area. And that is part of the reason also of pursuing this project too, is I feel like the more we reach out to internationally and to other cultures, the more we know and the better we are and the better we get along as a world.
Absolutely, and I feel the university really does, this is my personal opinion, does a great job with that, you know, in really facing the history and taking strides to move forward. And you don't get that a lot of other places.
No, and you work really hard. I mean, I think we're always going to kind of be seen as behind for maybe, I don't know, the next 100 years, just because it's a lot to overcome. But we are doing it, and we will continue to do that, and ultimately get to that goal.
Absolutely. So you are a person that stays really busy, and I mean, I keep using this word with you, and I mean it sincerely. You really have a legacy here. I mean, when you think about all of your students, and now you have one of the students who are with us today is the daughter of your first class, first group of students. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. What about the work here at the university makes you tick the most?
Ooh, wow. So a lot of times I've referred to working here as missionary work, because you think about Mississippi, you don't go, oh, that's a bastion of modern dance. Right? I mean, we are rich in the blues. We are rich in visual art. We are rich in writing and literature. And certainly social dance along with the blues, we think of that, but you don't think, you know, this is not a place that dancers come to
and we have the
have
same
a
thing in
career.
music, you know, it's the same, but I have never thought of it in that way. I'm going to adopt that. I tell my students, you hear something you like, take it. I'm taking it. Okay.
Take it, absolutely, you can have it. So it's been really, you know, they always say, like, why do you stay, or what's the reason? And it is because I can see a direct result with the students. Many of the kids come here without any modern dance experience or even seeing modern dance. You know, we're more connected to dance recitals and more like pageant dance, because we don't have as much dance in the schools in the South and in Mississippi in particular. There is some, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. So it's really exciting to me when I see a young student like kind of get turned on and like, oh, I can do this kind of, I can have ballet, but I can have this release into the floor. I can think about these other topics. I know for myself, I went to Kenyon College, and when I realized I could connect my intellect to my dance, then I was like, oh, that's really cool. I mean, I love to, you know, shake my booty and have fun too. You know, that's really fun.
Don't we all?
But like to like really like get in there with some really meaty idea and work that out in my body and work that out in choreography and work that out with the students, that's really amazing. And then when I see them make that connection, that's what drives me.
Well, Kenyon is a wonderful institution, great college.
My home.
So what was with psychology and dance? Like what?
Let's see. Well, I was pre-med.
All right.
And then
Did you know this about your professor?
I was pre-med, and my father's a physician, and then I switched gears to psychology, but I always danced. Like I was always in dance class, and everybody thought I was a dance major. I was just trying to do the thing that you do when you're 20 and you want to do what your parents think you're supposed to do.
Right.
And around graduation, I was like, I don't want to go to medical school, Mom and Dad. And actually, it was received much better than I thought. And my father said, oh, I knew you wanted to be a dancer when you were 5 years old. I was like, and you let me do this?
Why did I struggle for this long?
I took all those classes in high school and college.
Right.
And so what's interesting about that is, as I become a movement for the actor person, the psychology training and the dance training is merged. Because what we're looking at in movement for the actor, and even in dance as well, is the psychology through movement. Absolutely. How is the body expressing, like, literally the feelings and the emotions? And that's in both fields. It's funny because one of my movement for the actor classes almost looks like a beginning dance composition class. They're kind of having to do the same things that the dance composition kids are doing.
That's really neat. That's really neat. So let's fast forward now. I want to get to where did you get the idea for this collaborative endeavor with Malpaso?
So this happened after I watched the last presidential debate in the fall of 2016.
Yeah?
I was having a conversation with a good friend, Millie West, who's
Okay.
done a lot of work back and forth to Cuba. And she was explaining how she'd been doing this since the 1990s.
Oh.
And I even have a painting of one of the artists that she brought to Oxford. And I just said, wouldn't it be awesome to do what you're doing, but do it with dance? And have, dance company come here, and then we could go there, and just literally it was a dream. I was
Wow.
just sitting there going, wouldn't this be cool? And never thought it was going to happen. And I went to my chair and said, I have this idea. And he was like, well, that's pretty amazing. So let's go talk to the dean. I was like, okay. I didn't even have a company in mind. I just had the idea.
The idea.
And then I went to the dean. Well, actually, kind of in between there, I had to figure out the company before I went to the dean. So I had the idea, and then I also went to study abroad, Ashley Fly.
Got it.
And then I started researching on the web, trying to find out what would be a great company. And then one day, this company, Malpaso, pops up. And that time, it was a kind of a crude website. It was, not as sophisticated as it is now. Go to malpaso.com. It's an amazing website.
It's a fantastic website.
But at that time, it was, kind of rudely formed. And then I couldn't figure out how to get in touch with them. It was a little difficult. So then I found an article on the web about Osnel in Minnesota. And then I started finding YouTube clips from Jacob's Pillow, which is an amazing dance festival in the summer with Fernando talking. And then I just started calling places. And I called Minnesota. They didn't get back to me. I called Jacob's Pillow. Jacob's Pillow said, call the Joyce Theater in New York. I called the Joyce Theater in New York. And they said, oh, they just left. I was like, are you kidding me? Can you go get them, please? Bring them back. And then from there, I got Fernando's phone number, and then Fernando gave me the number of their production or touring manager in Toronto, and his name is Ilter. And then from the conversation with Ilter,
so you had to really go after this.
It was a scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt.
Yeah, and then I went to Atlanta in February last year. They so happened to be touring in Atlanta last year, and I was able to see the company and meet them. And then I was like, okay, we're going to make this happen. And,
Well, I'm glad you did, because I was mentioning to the two folks that are here that do check out the site, because the clips that are up and the pictures, it is just absolutely mesmerizing, and cannot wait for this program to experience it live on Saturday. I need to make sure I say Saturday. I keep wanting to say Friday. Saturday at the Ford Center.
7:30.
So the students that are involved in the performance, did they all go to Cuba?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So we had a study abroad class attached with the whole residency. So Malpaso came here November 12th through the 16th last fall, and Osnel started working with the kids. And then we also did a lot of interdisciplinary events. The company members went to Spanish classes. We had lectures for Croft International Studies. We went to political science classes, or they went to the political science classes.
See, and I'm going to pause you. That's another thing that I'm so happy that you do, because I think we have a responsibility, and that fits with our mission with this. We have a responsibility to reach out and bring people into what we're trying to get them to understand artistically or to attend.
And the arts cross over all disciplines.
Absolutely.
All disciplines.
Absolutely.
And that's what we create as inspired from events in the world, right? And so I felt like to get students in those other disciplines to understand that they're not that far away from what's happening in the arts is really, really important.
That's great. That's great. Well, we can talk more about the trip to Cuba in a little bit. I want to segue to our featured folks here. Well, you're featured too, but our Malpaso Dance Company. Just a little background. They were established in 2012, already become one of the most sought-after Cuban dance companies with a growing international profile. They emphasize a collaborative, creative process, and those are just magical words to my ears. They're committed to working with top international choreographers while also nurturing the new voices in Cuban choreography. The company tours with 11 dancers, and today we're going to talk with Malpaso's artistic director, Osnel, and the executive director, Fernando. So just to set the tone a bit, we're going to show a little video from the website to just sort of give you a little introduction into these folks, and then we're going to dive into conversation. Here we go.
Collaborations are very important to us, to Malpaso Dance Company. The relationship between the outside worlds and the inside worlds have been very crucial to us. It is very important to identify who can accompany us in our journey, who can you establish a dialogue with. Collaborations are the best ways of transcending your own assumptions, the solutions that you have been accumulating throughout life. If we come to a theater and if we are able to feel that we went through an experience, if it changed our life, our perception of the reality, that's the sense, that's the meaning. This is the main mission of an artist. Ashur's work, Vals Indomable, is somehow an exploration, an approach to the soul. Under extreme or intense emotional circumstances. Very different way of working from the other guest choreographers we have worked with. I think that it has enriched in a very considerable way what Malpaso Dance Company is all about.
So absolutely beautiful, absolutely breathtaking, and two of the masterminds and artistic geniuses of this organization are here with us. I would like to introduce you to Osnel and Fernando.
My pleasure, Nancy.
So what we just experienced a little bit there, that's going to be a portion of Saturday night's program, correct?
Correct, yes.
How did you decide? I mean, I'm sure the visit here is part of a larger tour, right? And we're sort of at the end, right? Yes?
Let's say the very end.
The very end. We're the grand finale.
Yeah,
They
grand
get to
finale.
go home after they're done with us.
It has been a long journey so far, so it's going to be almost 4-month touring. So it's the end of a long journey.
How did you come to decide to make this piece integral to this tour?
Well, the decision about presenting whatever work belonging to a rep is always in a conversation with presenters, with our team. It includes the Joyce theater productions, our technical team, and the dancers. And I think that, yes, we have been presenting, performing Azure Barton's piece very much throughout the last legs of the tours that we have had. It has been very well received. It is one of the one before the last collaboration, because we just finished another collaborative work with Sonia Taya. And it is a piece, as all the pieces in our rep, that we really love. It's a very sophisticated work, and it is a beautiful dialogue, creative conversation between one of the top world choreographers and a gang of quite sophisticated dancers. So it is pretty intriguing and attractive. And I think that the program today is, here in Oxford, Mississippi, is featuring from the company side, not speaking about the beautiful work that the dancers, the students of dance are going to deliver, is a good sample of the of what Malpaso Dance Company is able to deliver in technical terms, a very diverse program. We open the evening with Azure Barton's piece. We will have an intermission. Right after, we will present a beautiful duet created by Osnel Delgado, Ocaso in Spanish, Twilight in English. And it is very attached to Osnel's creative style and dance vocabulary. And we will finish with the first ever collaboration that the company developed with the celebrated African-American choreographer Ron K. Brown. So Why You Follow is going to be that piece. It presents the company in a very fair and complex way. I think it's a very good program that all we agreed on.
Fantastic. How did the company come to exist? I mean, and the company is really catapulted rather quickly. I mean, you've only been established really a short period of time, and you're everywhere. How did the company come to fruition?
Well, we created the company on December 2012, meaning by that the company is only 5 years of existence. And I think that we come together because the three founders, have some satisfactions, professionally speaking. So I was part of Danza Contemporánea de Cuba for 8 years as a dancer, and I wanted to develop my choreography side there, and the company was not possible because it was a busy company, always working with all the choreographers, or having my space to develop myself as a choreographer there was really difficult. So maybe in the peak of my career, I decided to leave the company. And I tried for 2 years as independent choreographer and dancer, work with different other companies there in Cuba. In that way, I get to know some other dancers. Fernando and I have also an old friendship working on other projects. He was part of the head of the performing art of the Lupit Foundation of Cuba. So Daile Carrasana was also dancer of Danza Contemporánea. She left the company at the same time. And the three of us together, let's say, put our satisfaction in this project. Just create a company for the dancers to develop materials that allow them to express who they are and where they came from, and trying to make connections with people that can, let's say, be in the same page of our language. You know, you can have a conversation between both sides, and the collaborations are a good example of our commitment to move forward with our group.
Was it hard to walk away from the company you were with? I mean, there was risk involved in that.
Well, actually, that was the name of the company is a little bit attached to that story. Everybody advised, don't do that. It's a bad step. You're going to make, you know.
Because Malpaso means
Yes,
misstep, correct?
Misstep, bad step.
Which I like. I like.
I think every decision, you know, every adventure have to, let's say, you need to have a risk, you know, to have a failure in that way. That way you can learn, you know, from that. Mm-hmm. So that is one of the main, let's say, topics online behind the name of Malpaso. It's also kind of a sense of humor because a bad step is the opposite of what dance, you know, have to do. So we are, just playing with the words and trying to deliver a good work.
It sets up this idea right from the get-go that we're going to give you something that you may not expect, you know, pushing the parameters a bit. And I mean, my honor students here, they hear me say all the time to take risks and, get the wrong answer and fail, you know, because that's when the great discoveries about oneself occur, whether that's practically or artistically.
You don't know if it's going to work unless you try.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That's how I look at it.
A very good point in the conversation, going back to your previous question, is how to manage and how to understand what real success is in life. Very difficult to answer if we abide by the standards of the binary, simplistic world in which we live. And I would say that it wouldn't be fair not to acknowledge the quality of the work that we try to do, and mostly I have to highlight the quality of the dancers. But there are many circumstances that are not connected to the quality itself of the work that you deliver that may take you to one place or the other. So what is important is to feel ourselves very responsible for the work that we do. We have to feel, first of all, a responsibility to ourselves. We live in a world with many beautiful things, but it's pretty easy to feel as well that we live in a kind of big supermarket of garbage.
Right.
If we cannot feel the responsibility of creating a new company, something new, that is not adding at all another trash to this big supermarket, then we're in a good position. If we move forward with a new company, it's because somehow we couldn't express ourselves throughout the previous or existing reality. And we were very blessed by some random circumstances where the company had its international debut at the Joy Theater. That was March 2014. We had the backup of a very sophisticated professional team, the Joy Theater team. We also had the chance of presenting a work by a very well-established choreographer, Ron K. Brown. We had playing live in a beautiful piece, 24 Hours and a Dog, created by Osnel, after the music of Arturo Farrell, to have this amazing, several times Grammy-awarded musician working with the company. We had some responsible critics in the audience that discovered that they had to acknowledge some positive things there that could help the company to move forward. So it's a whole constellation of favorable circumstances. It could go in a very different way. Regardless of that, we have to be very focused, and we want to be responsible and ambitious in the most constructive way.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, when you believe passionately and you have the content to support what you believe, when you take those big steps and you take those risks, it then works because there is the core content, there's the work behind it. It's not just a whim per se. So tell me a little bit about the dancers in the company, their backgrounds, and even, I don't know, I'm curious how you become a member. Not that I'm trying out, that would be my alter ego, but how one becomes a member of the company.
Well, every dancer in the company graduated either from ballet, National Ballet School, or Modern Dance School. It's a process that takes like 8 years. So after 8 years, they graduate as professors and professional dancers, and then join different companies. Mm-hmm. So they came from previous other companies before joining Malpaso, and they have a background ballet or modern. We in the company establish, like the ballet is the base in training of the company, and we are open to, let's say, work with the choreographers that we invite if they want to teach the company, they want to, say, make an approach during the training to their own vocabulary. We also host that technique in the process. Mm-hmm. But to join the company, I think the most important thing is being a good human being, because we spend a lot of time together. So we don't organize an audition for that. We are concerned, of course, of the quality of the people that join or just ask about taking classes with us. But the most important thing, I think, is when the people have good things to offer and we are engaged with that person. So
Absolutely.
we decide that, okay, it's the time to join the group.
Got it.
Nancy, I wouldn't discourage you. Get a try if you want.
I love to dance, and but you know, but it's my alter ego.
And weather is friendly in Cuba, in Havana.
It's
a nice city.
Yeah, we learned when we were in Cuba, like, we didn't know the system is a little different than ours, and every province, is that the right word? Every province has one of these professional schools. I mean, the arts are so valued in Cuba. I was like, oh, I really love it here, because everywhere you look, it's color, it's music, it's dance, all over the place. The Dancing Island was the name of our residency in the fall, and it's such an appropriate name. That island is all about dance and music, and so literally every province, is generating these amazing dancers, just like really beautiful, and it was so great to be an artist and be in that environment.
And to have a community that's the norm.
Yeah, that's the norm.
So that you're not, a little bit what we're talking about, trying to educate folks to understand what it is we're doing. If that's already part of the norm of the culture and the day-to-day life, you already have people who are willing to embrace what it is you're going to do.
My hostess there, she knew names of dancers like American people know names of football players. I was like, whoa! Like,
That
she
could
knew
happen here.
everything.
That could happen here.
Yeah, it was amazing.
We will not give up. It could
was
happen
amazing.
here. I want to, something for our students that are watching, and I teach voice and on the music side, and something that we talk about a lot is being a good colleague and needing to be a good person. I know that's obvious, but so many times in this field, it's so competitive, and one ends up being so self-absorbed. And I think it's great to hear this idea, because we were talking about this past weekend. You're going to be part of a company. That company is going to want a certain type of person who's going to fit in and bring something to the table, not about me, but the we, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And this is the philosophy of the company. Essentially speaking, let's forget about the circumstances in the world in which we live, in our societies. Essentially speaking, art is the opposite of what competition is. Art or the arts are not the worlds of exclusion, but the world of collaboration. Our success is not against the success of anybody else. We will succeed if we collaborate, because the work of any authentic poet is a very personal approach to the world. Art, in a very general way, could be defined as a thrilling, symbolic rendering of the human existence. Everyone will give something very unique, because we are unique creatures of the universe. It is no reason to compete in this field.
Absolutely.
And so competition is a big deal of what we human beings are, but it is not what is defining us. Collaboration, indeed.
Yeah.
This is what a human society is all about. Well, what it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. And I think that's something that artists can be contagious with those around, this idea of, and this philosophy, because, dance is universal. I believe music is universal. I mean, it breaks language barriers, it breaks socioeconomical statuses, it breaks all sorts of things. If you're able to get to someone's heart, what they're going to feel, I mean, it's nothing stronger than that.
It's powerful.
Something you said, I can't remember who said it. Tell me, in watching things and looking, thinking of Cuba as a harbor versus an island. Was that Arturo who said that?
Yeah, it was me,
Oh,
but
that
I
was
was quoting, and I don't know if I did it, one of my mentors, Doctora Graciela Pogolotti, one of my mentors in life. And yes, it is a nice, precise, sharp metaphor to understand the Cubanness, the quality of the Cuban culture. At first sight, an island is supposed to be an isolated place. It is from the geographical viewpoint. But this island is not a general vague island. It's a concrete island in the middle of the Caribbean. Up to a certain point in the world, it was like a pivot. It was in between. It was in the crossroads of the old and the new worlds. And the island is surrounded, and this is a fact, not just an opinion, very important to match opinions with facts. This island is surrounded by ports, harbors. And harbors, still today in this technological, globalized world, are very good places for conversations and connections. And that is what exactly we are in cultural terms, the result of intricate dialogues and conversations among individuals representing culture from all over the planet. Our two main branches, obviously, yes, the Spanish and the Africans, roots and influences, hundreds. And then people from all over the world ended in the island, and the result of that conversation is what the Cuban culture is all about, and the role of music and dance, yes, are very important, because we're not related at all, at the very beginning, with pure leisure and entertainment. We're mostly manifestations connected to the dramatic human necessity of communication, and it was connected to what we could define as cultural resistance, how to socialize, how to express ourselves and to defend our human dignity under the worst possible circumstances. I'm talking about slavery, of course, and I'm talking about so many complex cultural matters. And I think that still today we could be defined as a dancing island, because dance,
Right.
up to a certain extent, has that role, as well as music.
Absolutely. So curious, do you find in your travels that there are certain places that are more receptive to your approach, or it's more easily received? Do you find there are other places that you have to, I don't know, negotiate, or is it you go in and do your thing?
Not really. I think at the company, from our headquarters, from our studio, we try to extend and expand our frontiers. So we perform a lot there from American audiences. And then when we go sometimes to different venues all over the US, we can find people that they know the company before. So they enjoy just being there with the dancers, have conversation with them. You know, they want to know more about the future collaborations. So yes, in each part of we arrive, we have some friends that already are interested in our work. So we feel like in home, really, when we perform actually here.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. How was it coming to Mississippi? Or what were your thoughts? Was Mississippi different or similar than what you expected?
3 times. Osnel's been here 3 times now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just curious. Is it because we have some international students, and I'm going to share a little story. We have a student, Stella, from Kenya, and when they came here on a tour, she was in a singing group before she became a student here, and she saw the sign Ole Miss, and in her language, it's Ole Miss, and it means child of. So her interpretation of Ole Miss, which some people interpret other ways, was child of Mississippi. And she said they traveled all over the US. She said this was the place where she felt the most welcomed, and she thought, this is where I need to come. So I'm just, not that you have to feel that same way, but I love that story. I still think Chancellor Vitter, our motto needs to be Ole Miss, child of Mississippi.
I like that.
Just in case he's doing it.
I'm not dodging the question at all. But I think that Osnel is the ultimate authority to speak about it. He has been here more times than anybody in the company. I really have a better idea once we perform.
Got it.
I'm much more connected to people than to places.
Absolutely.
So the connection between the company and the audience is going to be essential for me to have a feeling, a sentiment, a better notion. So far, I love Professor Mizenko. She is my friend. And I love the students as well. And some new people that we are meeting, but I have to wait a little bit more.
Okay.
I think that this collaboration is gonna, let's say, being or mark our essence here as different, really different, because we are working directly with students. They get to know more in deep. Actually, one of my dancers was assisting me in the process during I was setting the piece, Dunia. I need to thank that. Also, they know my both parents. So my parents teach them in Cuba. Esteban, Delgado, and Idania.
Neat.
And Bruce. So yeah, they're like part of our family already. And I think that we always are gonna, have Mississippi in our heart, just because this instance here is really important. The collaboration is very special.
That's, I did not know.
And we got the privilege of, so Esteban, Osnel's father, they did a duet a few years ago, a father and son, and we got the privilege of watching it on video, but it's so beautiful to see these 2 men, and they look so much alike.
Wow.
And the, sort of the father-son handing down the legacy of a dance, and we were all crying when we watched it.
Oh, goodness.
Beautiful.
We should bring that duet
Yeah.
here. Let's push Esteban, who's
All
a little
right.
lazy to dance. he loves teaching, but it's very hard to push him to dance. Let's try it.
It's beautiful.
All right, I think this would be a good time to bring some of these dancers up with us, our Ole Miss contingency. We have with us Madeline Bradley. Come on up, Madeline. And we're we're going to have you just come down in front with us if you don't mind. We're going to invite Mary Lacey Laskap, whose mother was in the class with Jennifer's first year.
1989.
And Maddie Friedman, did I say it right?
Friedman.
Mercy. Friedman, come on up. And Lydia Myers, come on down here. So what we will have to do
Do I need to give
is,
them the mic?
I need to go grab a mic. I'm going to do that. And let you guys pass it, okay? So what's your reaction? I'm going to come down here. What's your reaction to what these gentlemen just said about the collaboration with y'all?
First of all, I want to cry.
I do too, and I wasn't even there.
Just for Osnel to tell us that we're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting teary-eyed right now for him
You're
to
in
say
good
that we're,
company for that.
that we're part of his family. Because I really do feel that way. At the beginning of this course, I was discouraged because I don't feel like the strongest dancer. And just through this process, oh my gosh, through this process, Osnel has, constantly encouraged me, and his family encouraged me. His father is just a delight. We love Esteban, and it's built a lot of confidence in me. And we're happy for them to go home and see their families, but we're gonna miss them at the University of Mississippi. It's been an honor.
This is something I think a lot of patrons don't realize and don't think about, are the connections that happen between artists. And I think when people come on Saturday, that might not, this isn't going to be on their minds. So for them to think about this going in, it's a whole other element and layer with it. And it's so exciting to think how this will impact everyone for a long time, forever. I shouldn't say a long time, forever. What was it like going to Cuba? Anyone? And I want to ask, and I want to fit with that. How did, and you probably, as I said about a preconceived notion of Mississippi, how did it fit or not fit what your preconceived notion was of what it was going to be like?
I got this one. Well, like when we found out about all this phone calls and collaborations, from my end, I was like, was I one of the first ones to commit? I was one of the first ones to commit, and I was here. I found out about it at the end of spring semester last year, was when we just mentioned it at the end of class one day. And the whole summer we were fundraising for it, and it was very up in the air. We were like, there's this Cuba thing.
The Cuba thing. Hashtag Cuba thing.
We'd love some money. It sounds really cool. And then the whole semester was just very Cuba. And then so by the time we were in the Memphis International Airport going to Cuba, we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to Cuba. Wow. And so I didn't really have any sort of expectation because I didn't know what to expect going. And
Had any of you been out of the country before? Out of Mississippi before? Yes. Well, no, I don't mean that in a condescending way, but it's amazing. Sometimes folks get in their bubble or they get in their space, and to venture out is huge. Yeah.
It's so, when we come back, people are like, how's Cuba? And it's so hard to give an answer. I'm like, do you have 4 hours maybe?
Let me show you a dance.
It's so hard because it's just so different from the United States. There's nothing to compare it to. It's just its own dancing island. And it was incredible.
That's fantastic. Anything anybody else wants to add to that component?
Yeah, I'm a freshman, and so I didn't make my decision until the very end of last year, and I actually had gotten a flyer in my email about this trip, and I'm not saying that's the deciding factor, but knowing that this university has amazing opportunities like that, I was like, wow, this is probably somewhere I want to be. And then being able to go on the trip was just truly amazing for me.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I think sometimes we
so
need to
cool.
remind folks of that these experiences are important for many different reasons, not just the product of the performance. It's much deeper than that. What component of the performance Saturday, I don't know, what part of it do you connect most with, or what do you feel that you're really expressing? What are you communicating?
Do you want to tell them the name of the piece?
Defining Carmen.
Redefining.
Yeah, it's
Redefining Carmen.
So you, as a music professor,
I'm
obviously
thinking Bizet. I'm in the opera right now.
Yeah, it's like the opera Carmen, and so Osnel has taken. He's arranged the music, so it's taking parts of the opera and it's put it
yeah?
into this really
Okay.
cool arrangement.
Next time you come, you're bringing Arturo, and you need singers. You need singers. All right, let's get on this.
we
Okay,
go.
go ahead.
Well, Osnel wrote this beautiful poem to go along with the piece because when he first came, our first rehearsal was how does a contemporary woman act? How do you act? How do you get up in the morning? How do you wake up? How do you get ready for class? And so,
How do you fall?
yeah, how do you fall?
How do you get up?
And, you know, in 2018 now, we're seeing a lot of strong women coming forward, a lot of strong movements coming forward. And so this piece could not have been perfectly timed.
Any better?
So it's about a woman overcoming obstacles. And even though we fall, we get up. Even though we fall, we don't break. And no matter what we go through, as long as we stay strong and know who we are, you know, we can not only redefine ourselves, but redefine what it's like to be a contemporary woman. So it's really deep, and I think
is
that
very deep.
I really hope that the audience connects with that, and I hope that we inspire someone. A lot of the movement, it's not feminine movement; it's very strong.
But what even is feminine movement?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
What does it? Yeah.
Right. You know, it's weird. Yeah, it's very strong. It's, yeah, you know, we're gonna be dressed in beautiful dresses, and we obviously we're all girls here, but to see us doing this strong choreography,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna hopefully be empowering because we've felt very inspired and empowered by it. So hopefully we can bring that to the audience as well.
That's fantastic. I want to fast forward to Saturday. Don't you?
We did too.
Wow! Wow!
I got
No,
4
they're
more
like,
days
no,
of
we want to
rehearsal.
rehearse. We want to rehearse. We want to rehearse.
We got more rehearsal.
So this is a question back to the gentleman here, and this can interject your experience being in Cuba. This came from a student. What aspects, is a question from a student, what aspects of Cuban culture do you try to emulate in your performances? Is that on the mind, or is it just, it happens?
I think it is embedded. It is part of who we are and where do we come from. It is very difficult or not very useful to be very conscious or aware of some cultural roots and intellectual matters throughout a creative process. It is very important to ask questions on a daily basis and to doubt systematically about what you're doing, but it is embedded. It is an essential part of who we are, and so we don't think much about that. We just have this sense of belonging to our culture and our nation, and by that, I mean, and we mean, what is enjoyable, what has been gorgeous, and also to our dark sides and deficits. So we have to be aware of the pain and also the joy whenever you approach a creative process. It is embedded. It is part of who we are.
How is that, I mean, as an American, how is that different for us, do you think, coming to or is it?
Yeah, I would hope it's not different at all. That's what I think the essence of dance itself is. You're bringing your body into it, and your whole life and culture is in your body, and that's going to come through. And I was going to add, after traveling to Cuba now, not that an American audience isn't going to quote unquote get it, but I really actually understand the company much more now after living in Cuba for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks. But still, that's,
But you've experienced
and been
it in
amongst the rhythm of the city and the culture and the people on the streets and just seeing how people socialize and how that all works. I'm still not quite over how you get the cab and everything. There's a whole thing about getting a cab, and there's our
you don't
movements.
just hail like in New York?
No, there's choreography that goes to getting a cab.
You have to dance to get the cab.
Just about.
Pretty much.
But that's, I think, a part of dance, and what makes dance so special is because it is your flesh and blood. I mean, singing is coming from the inside of your body and the sound coming out. But I think dance is a more even primitive layer than that it's really your viscera and everything that's involved with that from the moment you were born coming onto stage. And sweat. I really think it's awesome to watch people dance and sweat. I think it's awesome. Because you're really seeing who they are. And so I think what he's saying about it's embedded, when you don't see that in a dancer, then I think it's a dry performance.
Got it.
It's, I'm not interested in that. Me personally, anyway.
Another student wanted to know, is there any advice you would give to an aspiring professional, a dancer who's aspiring to be a professional?
Just continue looking things to discover, continue feeling hunger about learning new things. The continuation of the training is very important. The systematicity, work on the studio. And then don't separate yourself, the dancer, from the individual. Both things, I think, at the end go together.
Whoever was at the Callan interview or event, we just did a program with a Metropolitan La Scala opera star, and she said the same thing. And I think it's such great advice. It's one of the same. Yeah, love it. All right, we got to have a little goofy fun. I know you guys are like, what are they going to do? But we always play a game. So we're going to play a game. We have 2 teams here. We're going to get our little segue, and then I'll explain what we're doing. So it is game time on LMR Live on Locale. So here's what we're going to do. In this bowl, we have pieces of paper with names of types of dance. Nothing too complicated, pretty simplistic. I made them up. So if there's one that's bad, boop, okay. But what we're going to do is you're going to try to get your partner to guess the type of dance that's on the piece of paper. You're going to do 5. We're going to see how long it takes you to get your partner to guess 5. So decide who's going to be the demonstrator, whatever it may be, and who is going to guess. Okay? Do we understand?
I have no intuition, so I'll be the demonstrator.
Yeah.
All right. And I'll be reaching over so you can, you can hold the mic. Okay. We'll have this side go first. Who's my timer? Are we ready? All right. So you're going to pick out of the magical fishbowl the white pieces of paper, one at a time. On your mark. Get set. Go. What's it going to be?
Oh, no. Okay. Do I just go?
Do it. You're trying to do it as fast as you can.
Tap.
Yes, yes.
That was
Keep going.
easy.
You're being
Another
timed.
one,
You're
another
being
one.
timed. You're being timed. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. I don't know.
Folk dance? I don't know.
On the run, can I talk?
Oh, yeah.
Like do-si-do? I don't know.
Roll out the girl.
I don't know.
Is a country, it comes out of a country in Eastern Europe.
I don't know.
Tuba?
Pass.
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 Well, polka.
Polka, yep.
Oh, okay.
You better get this one.
Stretching.
I'm trying to think of your father's warm up.
Okay.
Modern.
Oh.
Contemporary.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay, keep
I
going.
think that was
Keep
a
going.
lot. Okay. Do I have to do all of them?
You have to do 5.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, gosh.
Belly dancing? Okay.
2, 3. 2 more.
Oh, yeah.
Disco.
Nice. 1 more.
Okay. Get the one I want. Oh.
Was that waltzing?
Yes. Time. Lovely ladies.
So-
Very good. Very good. The pressure's on. It's hard when the pressure's on. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never even
All right.
heard of
I just
that.
know it's like yodeling.
From Poland. No,
You
it's not
guys were getting it. Did
It's from
anyone know?
Poland.
Did anyone know
Polka
polka?
comes from Poland.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so like we're
I
on
know.
polka.
Cleveland,
area.
Ohio, we polka all the
Polka.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
My roommate's
Sure.
from Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
Ask her about the polka.
Great town. Small world. We'll talk. All right. Not to dismiss our other side here. What did they have to beat?
A minute and 23 seconds.
Y'all can
Minute
do
and
that.
23. All right. Who's demonstrating? Who's guessing? All right. And we have our guesser. On your mark. Get set. Go.
Jazz. Musical theater.
1920s.
Oh, flapper dancing?
Close.
I have no idea.
Flapper?
Flappers did
It's
the dance.
really good.
Yeah.
That's the time. What does it start with?
Women's liberation, 1920s.
All right, we can pass, we can pass.
Okay.
Charleston, very good.
Thank you.
It's the pressure.
It's a dance.
The moonwalk.
Yes.
That was a very bad one.
The worm. Hip hop breakdancing.
Yes, ding, ding, ding. Two more.
Ballet. We would get that one.
And one more.
Irish folk dance. Cotton Eye Joe. Folk dance. Square dancing.
Close. We'll take that. We'll take that. It's country western, but we'll take it. Ding. Done.
Ding.
They won with a minute and 15.
Minute 15. Woo! But see, aren't you sad you didn't do that? I mean, I can just sense. No? All right. Thank you, ladies, very much. Have a seat. Appreciate it very much.
Good job, good job.
All right. So let me just ask, does anyone here have a question that they would like to ask of our guests? Anything anyone wants to ask? You have a question? Nope.
She's doing her hair.
All right, so I want to know, you're headed back home. What is the thing you're most excited to see, smell, taste, do? What is the first thing on your mind?
Beer.
Beer.
We like a
particular
beer,
brand?
a cold beer, a Bucanero beer, actually.
It is good. I had one.
Amazing. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, that gives us.
Well, my girlfriend, my friends, my family, my dog. I really miss,
Yeah.
everything around.
I gave his girlfriend a note. We saw his girlfriend perform, and I got to go back. It was such a pleasure. She was so excited. We cried together. I was like, this is from Osnel.
Sweet.
It was very romantic.
Very sweet. Very sweet. How about you?
Visiting my family, first of all, in my hometown in central Cuba, then a lot of work, no a single day off. And I'm looking forward to go fishing anytime, to spend some time in the ocean with my fishermen friends. And yes,
Oh, that's
those
right.
are
I
the
was supposed
plans.
to try and get you a fisherman date here this week. Do you want me to still try and do that?
Do we have the time? We can get a try.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Well, I
forgot.
have to
I mean-
make the time.
We'll forget.
bass would be interesting.
Okay.
All right. Well, so I want to remind everybody that you need to come to the Ford Center Saturday night, 7:30 p.m., to experience Malpaso, to experience the misstep, to experience the woman, to experience Osnel, to experience all of this, all right? I want to see you there. I want to thank friends of the Living Music Resource. Our friends are our viewers. We thank you for being part of this journey with us and experiencing the arts with us and our featured guests. I want to thank the Yakima Batafa Arts Council, the University of Mississippi Music Department, the Inn at Old Miss for being great supporters of our endeavor. I want to thank the Dream Team. I want to thank our workers today. We have Melanie Colhane, Ava Street, and Jocelyn Sanabria. Faith Janicki already headed off. I want to thank Charlie Miles for helping us put this together. Very thankful. And what we're doing with these students, and at one point I got to get you guys on here to like attest to this, that I don't just say this, but we're giving them skills that enhance their educational experience beyond what's happening in the classroom. We want them to be marketable in this 21st century world of the arts. Tonight, if you're looking for something to do, head to the Powerhouse. If you live in Oxford, we have Oxford's Day for Art. So there will be an arts crawl from 6 to 8 p.m. And then a new thing this year, we have a party going on 8 to 10. So head to the Powerhouse for that. And again, where are you going to be Saturday night?
The Ford
Ford Center. What time?
7:30.
7:30. And if you want to stay up to date on our activities, we've got a lot of things coming up this semester. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, be with us. So, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Osnel.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Fernando.
A pleasure.
And remember, I can't say the music revolution continues. The performing arts revolution continues. See you next time.
Okay, so we're gonna start. We're gonna start with our right foot going back, and this is a little salsa step. So we go back, together, front and together. Repeat, back and together, front and together. Just keep doing that, and see if you can make a figure 8 with your hips while you go back. Salsa, very sassy. Great. All right, stop right there. All right, so we're gonna do that like 3 times, and then we're gonna do a mambo step. So after you do your last back and together, we're gonna tap our left toe. We're gonna go tap, 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 and then we're gonna cross over our right foot, cross and face sideways, and then together. And then you're gonna put one hand on your hip, one hand up, and go tap, tap. Everybody got that? So y'all wanna do that just to that part? So we'll do 3 salsa steps, mambo, into our little crossover. So 5, 6, 7, 8, back and together, front and together, back, together, front, together, back, together. One more time, back, together, touch, 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 cross, together, tap, tap. Everybody got it? Now we're gonna cross over. We're gonna take our beveled leg and we're gonna cross over 1, 2, 3. So it's right here, so you just cross over, take it back, and then you take this foot and you go little cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha, ba-ba-ba. Right? And then we're gonna take our left leg. Review. Okay, so right here. So we just went tap, tap, and now we cross, step, chop, chop, chop.
The hips going.
Yeah, chop, chop, chop.
There you go.
And then we're gonna take our left leg, we're gonna cross over to our right, do a little swivel with our hips again, swivel, together, and then at the end we're gonna do 4 claps, or 1, 2, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So from right here, we just did tap, tap, we go cross and right here, chop, 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 and then over, tap, tap, tap. How's that sound? Can we try it all together?
Slow, really slow.
Yeah. Okay, so just to review, we had a back step, front,
That's balloon.
2,
3, and then to the back together.
tap, 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 cross, dot, dot, cross, and then we chop, 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 step, over, clap, clap, clap. So we got it. I'm probably gonna mess it up too. So like, but this is something that we learned in Cuba in an actual salsa class.
So after the tap tap,
Ready?
it's 1, 2, 3, then chop, chop, chop.
Left, right, left.
Did you guys go together? Chop, chop, chop. Like,
Here you
in,
go.
like, and, like
Yes.
downtown, like.
Are ready? Back. Oh wait. Let's back. Front. One more. Tap, 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 cross, tap, tap, cross, chop, 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 step,